dear friends, and welcome to another evening of stories. I'm Elianore, and this is a channel to help you relax and fall asleep. The world quietens, and the whispers of all the myths call to us from beyond the wheel of time. Tonight, as the stars weave a tapestry of shimmering light across the heavens, let us turn our thoughts to a tale of glory and downfall, of curses and hope. Picture, if you will, a land golden with promise, its hills rolling in endless splendor beneath the sun's warm embrace. A kingdom once joyous and harmonious, destined to crumble beneath the weight of its own pride. Gather close where the warmth of your hearth keeps the shadows at bay, and let the cares of the day slip away. For now, we journey together to the kingdom of Arith, where our tale begins amidst the echoes of prosperity and the ominous signs of a looming curse. Long ago, in the radiant kingdom where the golden fields stretched as far as the eye could see and the rivers glimmered like liquid silver, harmony reigned supreme. The people thrived under the rule of the king, a wise king, whose fairness brought prosperity to all. His heir, Prince Alaric, however, was not cut from the same cloth. Prince Alaric was a youth spoiled by wealth and blinded by entitlement. From his high perch in the alabaster palace, he regarded the common folk as beneath his notice. Tales of his indulgence were whispered in hushed tones, how he adored himself with the finest silk, feasted while others fasted, and ignored the struggles of those who toiled to maintain the kingdom's wealth. One fateful day, while strolling through the bustling market, the prince's eyes fell upon an old man hunched over a wooden car laden with curious stones that shimmered faintly in the light. The man's cloak was dirty, and his hands trembled with age, but his voice was steady as he called to the passers-by, enchanted stones for those in need, blessing to protect, to heal, to guide. Find what your heart seeks. The prince's lip curled in disdain. Who would waste their coin on your nonsense? He sneered, his voice carrying above the murmurs of the crowd. The old man's gaze met his, unflinching. Even a prince may find himself in need of blessings, he replied. Rapid laughter from Alaric. A prince needs no blessing from the likes of you. Take your trickles and be gone. The man's expression darkened, and the air around him seemed to grow heavy. You speak without wisdom, young prince, but you shall learn. He intoned, his voice resonant with an eerie power. By the turning of the moon, the kingdom you call shall bear the weight of your arrogance. With those words, the man vanished, leaving only a faint shimmer in the air when he stood. That night, a terrible storm descended upon Arith. The wind howled with fury, ripping through crops and homes alike. Torrential rains flooded the streets, and a sense of dread settled over the land. Days turned into weeks, and the storm showed no sign of abating. The once bountiful fields withered beneath the unrelenting deluge, and despair gripped the hearts of the people. In the great hall of the palace, the king convened his council. His face, once lined with wisdom, now bore the marks of sleepless nights and unspoken fears. Our kingdom suffers, he declared, his voice heavy with sorrow. We must seek the source of the curse and find a way to lift it, or we shall all be lost. The bravest knight of the kingdom stepped forward, pledging their swords to the task. Among them was Edrin, a young knight, whose reputation of valor and kindness shone brighter than his polished armor. Though his heart ached for the plight of his people, it burned with determination to restore their hope. Edrin knelt before the king. Your Majesty, I swear upon my honor to uncover the source of this disaster and to do all in my power to end it. The king's gaze softened. Go with my blessing, Edrin. The fate of the kingdom rests with you. And so the knight set forth on his quest, leaving behind the crumbling splendor of the kingdom and venturing into the untamed wilds. The roads were treacherous, the sky heavy with foreboding, but Edrin pressed on, his courage unyielding, for in his heart he carried the hopes of a kingdom, and he vowed that he would not return until he had found the means to save it. Edrin set forth on the path less traveled, his steed carrying him across lands few dared to traverse. The skies above the kingdom darkened as though mourning its plight, and the air grew colder with each passing mile. Before him lay treacherous rivers, deep forests thick with ancient trees, and barren wastelands where even the hard grass had long since surrendered to desolation. Edrin approached the roaring torrent river, its water churning with the fury of the storms, and Edrin sought a safe crossing. His gaze fell upon a small bird flapping in the current. Without hesitation, Edrin plunged into the icy water, and with great effort he caught the bird and carried it to the riverbank. The bird, though drenched and trembling, chirped softly before flying into the trees. Deeper into the journey, Edrin entered the forbidden dark forest, where the trees loomed like watchful sentinels. The silence was broken by a faint, pitiful cry. Following the sound, Edrin discovered a fox, ensnared in a cruel hunter's trap. Blood marroned its fur, and its golden eyes glimmered with pain. Edrin kneeled beside the creature, speaking gentle words as he put the trap open. The fox jumped into the bush, pausing to turn back towards Edrin before vanishing. In the barren wastes, Edrin came upon a beggar, frail and hunched against the bitter wind. The beggar's eyes glimmered with sorrow, and he asked for bread. Though Edrin had little to spare, he offered what food remained in his satchel. The beggar accepted the offering with a trembling heart, his face breaking into a smile that seemed to defy the desolation around him. Edrin did notice the blessings that followed in the wake of the act of kindness. The river seemed calmer, the paths through the forest straighter, and the barren wastelands seemed less menacing. Yet onward Edrin pressed, driven by the weight of the kingdom's fate. The base of the Black Mountain, the peak rose like a jet blade into the heavens, shrouded in eternal shadow. No bird circled its summit, and no life stirred upon its slopes. The air itself felt heavy, charged with an unnatural stillness. Edrin stopped his steed and began to climb. The rocky path shifted beneath his boots, and the mountain seemed to hum with a low, ominous vibration. At the edge, Edrin discovered a cave. Its entrance seemed to be having a faint glow of an unearthly light. Within the cave, a grand tome rested upon a pedestal. The book cover shimmered with runes that seemed alive, and its pages turned slowly of their own accord, whispered secrets to the darkness. Edrin stepped forward, his heart pounding, and reached to the tome. As Edrin tore a single page from the book, the cave shuddered. A bone-chilling roar echoed through the air, and a monstrous creature emerged from the shadows. The being towered over Edrin, its form cloaked in tendrils of black mist that shifted like leaving shadows. Two glowing eyes, fierce and ancient, burst through the darkness. The creature's voice boomed like thunder, filling the cave. Who dares disturb the sacred knowledge of the Black Mountain? Edrin stood firm, through fear coursed through him. I'm Endred of Orith. My people suffer under the terrible curse, and I only seek to save them. The creature's gaze bore into Edrin's soul. Your intent is noble, yet the price is great. You may take the page, but know this. In 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days, you must return to this mountain and remain here forever. Should you fail, your kingdom will know a fate far worse than its current plight. Edrin's heart sank, but the thought of his people gave him strength. I accept your terms, he declared. The creature stepped aside, allowing Edrin to leave with a page. As Edrin exited the cave, the weight of the pact settled upon his shoulders. The shadow of the Black Mountain loomed behind him, a constant reminder of the promise that would one day call him back. When Edrin descended the slopes of the Black Mountain, dawn broke upon the kingdom of Orith, as though the light of hope had burst through the darkness. The cursed land began to heal almost instantly. The golden fields of wheat returned. Rivers once choked with silt ran clear and swift, and the faces of the people no longer carried the weight of despair. Edrin rode through the city gates, greeted by the joyful cries of his people. Children ran alongside his steed, the laughter and melody of Edrin's weary heart. The king himself embraced Edrin, declaring him a savior whose name would be sung for generations. Edrin dreamed of a quiet future where the sword would gather dust and the burden of heroism would yield to a simple life. In his heart, Edrin tried to forget the promise that he had with the shadowy creature, but there was always a distant worry looming inside of him. The years passed swiftly, and the kingdom of Orith thrived once again. Yet as the 3rd year approached its end, Edrin's nights grew restless. Shadows crept into his dreams, coiling like serpents in the corners of his mind. Each dream began the same, the echoing roar of the monstrous creature, its glowing eyes fixed on Edrin. In the dream, the creature loomed over Edrin, its voice a chilling whisper. Edrin of Orith, do not forget. the vow you swore. The days grow short. Adrien awoke with a start, cold sweat of dread clinging to his skin. Adrien told no one of the dreams, burying them deep beneath the joy of the kingdom's prosperity. I gave my people peace, he murmured to himself. Surely that's enough. But the dreams grew more vivid, each more harrowing than the last. In one, the creature stood amidst fields of ash where the once thriving crops had withered to dust. In another, rivers ran red beneath a sky torn by lightning. Adrien tried to dismiss the dream as mere phantoms conjured by the guilty mind. He clung fiercely to the happiness he had fought so hard to restore. Yet, as the fateful day loomed ever closer, a shadow began to creep across the horizon, and Adrien could no longer deny the promise that waited to claim him. As the fateful day dawned, the sky above Oreth darkened. A massive rolling black cloud crept over the kingdom's borders, blotting out the sun and casting an eerie twilight over the land. Fear gripped the hearts of the people, their newfound joy overshadowed by whispers of doom. The king summoned Adrien, his voice trembling with desperation. Adrien, the shadow has returned. What shall we do? Adrien gazed upon the frightened faces of his people and knew that there was no escape from his vow. With a heavy heart, he donned his armor, the familiar weight pressing upon his shoulders like the burden of destiny. Mounted his steed, Adrien rode towards the looming shadow of the Black Mountain, his resolve firm despite the dread in his heart. The Black Mountain loomed larger than Adrien remembered, its jagged peak shrouded in whirling mist. The paths, once treacherous, now seemed to twist and shift as though alive, leading Adrien astray at every turn. Yet as despair threatened to overwhelm him, Adrien encountered a small bird with a shimmering wing, the very same he had aided years ago. The bird chirped softly, guiding him through a maze of crumbling rocks to a safer path. Further up the mountain, Adrien's way was blocked by a cunning trap of jagged brambles. A fox emerged from the shadows, its golden eyes gleaming with recognition. The creature yawned to the thorny vines until the path was clear, then disappeared into the mist. At the base of the summit, an old beggar appeared, leaning heavily on his staff. The beggar's face was familiar, his gaze warm with gratitude. With a whispering blessing, he handed Adrien a flask of clear water, restoring his strength for the final climb. At the mountain's summit, Adrien found the cave once more, but the ancient tomb was gone. Instead, the shadowy creature awaited, its glowing eyes piercing through the darkness. "You have returned," the creature said, its voice echoing with more menace and relief. "But your task is not yet complete. I require one final vow. Swear to marry me and bind our lives together forever." Adrien's heart sank at the demand. The weight of his promise and the fate of his people pressed upon him, though he feared what lay ahead. Adrien knew he couldn't falter. "I swear," he said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his heart. He repeated the vow twice more, the words echoing through the cavern. With the third utterance, the creature's form began to shift. The shadows peeled away like layers of mist, revealing a figure bathed in radiant light. Before Edrin stood a beautiful princess, her eyes glittering with tears of gratitude. The princess spoke, her voice melodic and filled with reverence. Edrin of Orith, your courage and selfishness have broken the curse that bound me to this mountain. Long ago, I was a ruler of a distant land, cursed by a vengeful wizard to guard this place until a knight of true honor proved himself worthy. Edrin bowed his head, his heart heavy with the weight of his choice, yet lightened by the prince's gratitude. Together they descended the mountain, the dark cloud dissipating with each step until the skies above Orith shone clear and bright. Upon their return to the kingdom, the princess shared her tale. She had once ruled a land of great beauty and peace until a wicked wizard, spurned by her refusal to marry him, cast the curse upon her. Only the purest act of sacrifice and honor could set her free. The people marveled at her tale, their awe for Edrin deepened as they realized the extent of his bravery. Edrin and the princess were wed beneath the golden light of the sun, their union celebrated with a grand feast that lasted for days. The land thrived as never before, their love between Edrin and the princess a beacon of hope and prosperity. Their story became a legend, a tale told by firesides for generations. It was said that the courage of one knight and the faith of a cursed princess had brought peace and abundance to the land, reminding all who heard it of the power of honor, sacrifice, and promises kept.